I killed my own dreams the day I confessed to that hidden run for my brother, Jax. 8 years in a cage for a crime that wasn't mine, while he partied on the outside, building his empire on my silence. But freedom tastes like revenge, and when Mom saw that Audi gleaming on my socials, her family meeting invite was the spark that lit the fuse. The rain hammered Seattle like it had a grudge, mirroring the storm brewing in my gut as I pulled into the old driveway on Capitol Hill. That house, peeling white siding, overgrown rhododendrons choking the porch, hadn't changed since I left it as a scared 20-year-old, shackled by lies. I'd spent my birthday alone in a dingy apartment downtown, blowing out a single candle on a stale cupcake, whispering promises to the empty room. 30 now, and the world felt sharper, edged with the kind of bitterness that turns milk to vinegar overnight. Mom's text had come at dawn. Saw your post, Amaya. That car's impressive. We need to talk. Family meeting. 7 p.m. sharp. No happy birthday, kiddo. No apology for the radio silence during my parole hearing. Just opportunism, thick as the fog rolling off Lake Washington. I'd posted the Audi pic on impulse. A midnight drive through the city lights, caption, reborn on 4 wheels. Who's coming for the ride? Likes poured in from ghosts of my past. But hers? That was the gut punch. I killed the engine, the low growl fading into the patter of rain on the windshield. My reflection stared back, sharper cheekbones from skipped meals in prison, eyes like polished obsidian, hair cropped short and streaked with defiant silver. The Audi was my first real splurge, $55K of lease luxury from a shady dealer who didn't ask for my record. Funded by the ghostwriting gig I'd clawed from the freelance pits, spinning tales for tech bros who thought authenticity meant plagiarizing my pain. It was freedom on credit, but tonight? It was bait. The front door creaked open before I could knock, Mom's silhouette backlit by the warm glow of the living room lamp. Evelyn Reyes, still calling herself that after Dad bailed 15 years back, looked smaller than I remembered, her once vibrant curls now a frizzy halo, face etched with lines that spoke of too many Merlots and not enough mirrors. Amaya, she breathed, pulling me into a hug that smelled of mothballs and regret. Look at you. All grown up. I stiffened, patting her back like she was a distant aunt.
Yeah, grown.
Locked up. Let out. The words hung there, barbed wire between us. She pulled away, eyes darting to the Audi like it was a rival. That car.
How?
I mean, congrats, but... Inside, I cut her off, stepping past. The house hit me like a time capsule. Faded photos on the mantel. Me at 16, Jax at 18. All smiles before the fracture. The accident happened on a slick I-5 stretch. Jax behind the wheel of Dad's old Ford, high on whatever cocktail of pills and pride he'd swallowed after losing his scholarship. He clipped a cyclist, left the guy mangled in the ditch. I was passenger, sober as a nun, but when the cops swarmed, Jax whispered, "Take it, Maya. For family." And I did. Pleaded guilty to vehicular manslaughter, buried the truth under a mountain of perjury. Mom knew. She coached the lie, said it'd build character. Jax? He vanished to Stanford on a merit ride, courtesy of her forged recommendation letters. Now, the family meeting. Jax lounged on the sagging couch, legs crossed like he owned the place, which, legally, he did. Co-founder of Apex Dynamics, some AI startup raking in venture capital for ethical surveillance tech. Irony dripped from that like syrup on pancakes. His suit screamed Silicon Valley, tailored wool, no tie, a Rolex glinting under the lamp. "Sis," he drawled, standing to air-kiss my cheek. "The prodigal returns. And with wheels. Impressive." "Save it," I said, sinking into the armchair that still bore the indent of my teenage ass. The room felt smaller, walls closing in with ghosts. Mom bustled to the kitchen, clattering plates, her peace offering roast chicken and mashed potatoes, like carbs could glue a family back together. Jax leaned forward, elbows on knees, that boyish grin masking the shark beneath. "Heard you got a writing gig. Tech bios? Not bad for a fresh out. But that Audi. Financed?" Or did you hit the lottery in Walla Walla? I met his gaze, unflinching. Earned it. Unlike some. The air thickened, Mom's footsteps halting in the doorway. She set the tray down, forcing a smile. Let's eat. Catch up. Amaya, tell us everything. Everything. As if. We picked at the food, small talk skittering like roaches. Weather, Mariners' losing streak, my adjustment to the outside. Jax dominated, regaling us with apex tales, algorithms that predict crime before it happens, investors lining up like lemmings. We're changing the world, Mom. Predictive justice. No more innocent suffering. I nearly choked on a potato. Predictive justice. The irony clawed at me. That night on I-5, if his tech existed, it'd have flagged him. Erratic driving, dilated pupils, the works. But no, he skated, I sank. Mom's eyes flicked between us, nervous. Jax is doing so well. Engaged now, to Lila. You remember her? From the old neighborhood. Lila. The girl who'd ghosted me in high school after Jax spread rumors I was unstable. Yeah, I remembered. Congrats, I said, voice flat. When's the wedding? Soon, Jax replied, too casual. But hey, Maya, got a proposition. Apex needs a story. Your voice, raw, real. Write our origin piece. Equity stake. Could set you up. There it was. The hook and the bait. Mom's face lit up, nodding furiously.
See?
Family helping family. I pushed my plate away, the chicken turning to ash in my mouth. Origin piece? Like, how you clawed from nothing. His smile didn't waver.
Exactly.
The Reyes grit.
Grit.
That's what they called it when you buried your siblings' sins. I stood, chair scraping like nails on chalkboard.
Pass.
I've got my own story to tell. Jax's eyes narrowed, just a fraction. Suit yourself. But blood's thicker, sis.
Blood.
The word ignited something primal. I left them there, rain swallowing my footsteps to the Audi. As I peeled out, Jax's text buzzed. Think about it. We miss you. Miss me? Or miss the loose end I represented? Back in my apartment, a cramped studio overlooking the sound, I poured a glass of bourbon, the burn steadying my pulse. The walls were bare, save for a corkboard pinned with news clippings. Apex's latest funding round, $20 million from VCs blind to ethics. Jax's face beamed from everyone, Mom at his side for the photo ops. She'd sold the house equity to fund his startup seed, left me penniless post-prison. Revenge wasn't a flash, it was a slow burn. I'd ghostwritten for enough execs to know their skeletons, emails, off-record confessions, the dirt they buried under NDAs. Jax's offer? A Trojan horse. I'd take it, twist it, infiltrate, expose. But first, dig deeper. The next weeks blurred into reconnaissance. I hit the freelance circuit hard, pitching tech underbelly pieces to outlets that thrived on schadenfreude. Apex's predictive justice was a wolf in sheep's clothing, scraping social data, facial rec from public cams, flagging high-risk profiles. Minorities, ex-cons.
People like me.
A leaked beta test? It had fingered a black teen for potential theft based on his hoodie and bus route. No charges, but the kid's life derailed. Lost scholarship, harassed by cops. I reached out to Lila first, Jax's fiancée. A quick DM on LinkedIn. Old friend. Coffee? She bit, curious about the reformed Amaya. We met at a hipster spot in Fremont. Exposed brick, pour over coffee that tasted like regret. Lila hadn't aged a day, yoga toned, blonde bob, engagement ring winking like a warning. Amaya. God, prison chic suits you. Her laugh tinkled, forced. We danced around small talk until I dropped the bomb. Jax ever mentioned that night? The cyclist. Her fork paused midair, salad forgotten. What night? I leaned in, voice low. I-5. 8 years back. He drove. I confessed. Color drained from her face. That's insane. Why? Family. The words soured on my tongue. But secrets fester, Lila. Apex's tech? It's built on more than code. What if his predictions are just projections of his own guilt? She fidgeted, twisting the ring. He's changed. We're building something good.
Good.
Like the good that kept him silent while I rotted? I slid a USB across the table, dummy files, but enough to spook. Read it. Then decide. She pocketed it, eyes wide. You're not threatening him. Not yet. I smiled, cold as Puget Sound fog. That night, Jax called, voice silk over steel. Heard you chatted with Lila. Stirring pots, Maya. Just catching up. I sipped my drink, feet up on the Audi's dash, parked in a no-man's lot. Stay out of it. For your sake.
Click.
The threat landed soft, but it echoed. I needed leverage, real dirt. Time to call in favors from the pen. Old cellmate Rosie, now a PI scraping by on divorce gigs. A Maya girl. She rasped over burner phone. What ya need? Jax Reyes.
Deep dive.
Financials, emails, anything off book. Cost ya. But for you, half price. Rosie delivered a week later. Encrypted Dropbox, goldmine. Apex wasn't just predictive, it was predatory. Backroom deals with PDs for data access, bribing informants in low-income hoods. And Jax? He'd funneled startup cash to offshore accounts, laundering through Mom's consulting firm. The woman who'd begged me to lie now cashed the checks. But the kicker, paternity test, buried in a folder labeled contingencies. Jax wasn't ads. Mom's affair with the neighbor confirmed. She'd weaponized that secret, guilting Dad into leaving without a fight. Layers on layers, betrayal stacked like Jenga. I confronted Mom solo, showing up unannounced with printouts fanned like a poker hand. She answered in a robe, hair in rollers, the picture of domestic defeat. Amaya? It's late. Read. I thrust the papers at her. Her eyes scanned, widening like saucers. Where did you? Doesn't matter. You knew about the affair. Used it to run Dad off. Then Jax's crash? You coached me to cover, said it'd save the family. But it was always about you, keeping your golden boy shiny. She sank onto the stoop, papers trembling in her lap. I was scared.
Young.
Mistakes. Mistakes. Laughter bubbled, bitter. I lost 8 years. My degree, my shot at med school. All for your mistakes. Tears tracked mascara rivers. Jax was our future. You were.
Tough. Could handle it. Tough.
The word she'd branded me with since kid days. Tomboy Amaya. The fixer. Handle this, I said, dropping the Apex ledger. You're cut. Laundered lies funding champagne dreams. She gasped, clutching her chest. He said it was legit. Lies on lies. I turned to go, but she grabbed my wrist, nails digging. Don't tell him.
Please. He's all I have.
I wrenched free, the Audi's door slamming like a guillotine. All she had? I'd been her scapegoat, her shadow. The plan crystallized over sleepless nights. Infiltrate Apex as the ghostwriter, embed code in their origin story, a virus of truth, leaking docs to whistleblower sites. But Jax was slippery, flipping alliances like pancakes. He called a truce meeting at his Belltown penthouse, skyline views mocking my crawl from the bottom. Write the piece, he said, pouring scotch neat. Lila hovered, ring off, fingers bare. But on my terms, gloss the edges. I sipped, feigning interest. What's in it for me?
Equity.
And closure. His eyes bored in, reading me like code. Closure. As if. We shook, his grip firm, mine laced with venom. Over weeks, I wove the narrative. Jax the visionary, Mom the unsung hero. Buried in footnotes. Hyperlinks to the Dropbox, disguised as Easter eggs for insiders. Lila found them first, confronted him mid-dinner party. I watched from the shadows, catering gig my cover, as she hurled the ring, voice shattering crystal. You're a fraud, Jax. Built on her blood. He flipped, charmed to rage in a heartbeat. You think you're better? Digging with my sister? Security escorted her out, but the damage rippled. Investors whispering, board calling emergency sessions. Mom flipped next, showing up at my door with a bottle of peace wine. He says you're sabotaging. Is it true? I let her in, poured generously. Truth's a virus, Mom. Catches everyone. She wept, confessed. The affair born of loneliness. Jax's crash a panic attack masked as thrill-seeking. I thought prison would straighten you, make you strong. Strong. Again. I laughed, dark.
It did.
Strong enough to burn it down. The climax brewed at Apex's launch gala, Space Needle views, champagne flutes clinking like countdowns. Jax cornered me in a service elevator, breath hot with bourbon. You leaked it. The cyclist files. Cops are circling. I smiled slow. Predictive justice, right? Knew you'd crack. He lunged, not violent, but desperate, pinning me to the wall. Family Maya. Blood. Blood washes out. The doors dinged open to flashing cameras, reporters swarming on the tip I'd planted. Apex CEO covers up fatal crash. Sister takes fall. Chaos erupted. Jax's face on every screen, Mom's tearful interview pleading misunderstanding. Lila testified, spilling the paternity bomb for good measure. Investors fled, stock plummeting like Icarus. But the twist? As sirens wailed toward the penthouse, Jax didn't run. He turned state's evidence, flipped on the board, the bribes, even Mom's laundering. Immunity for him, indictments for the rest.
Me?
He pinned the leak on a disgruntled ex, but whispered in the DA's ear. Amaya's clean. She was the victim.
Victim.
The word chafed. Parole violation hearing loomed, conspiracy charges for the hack. Mom called from lockup, voice breaking. He saved himself. Again. I sat in the Audi, engine idling on a cliffside overlook, sound churning below. Jax's text truce? Dinner? Attached. A check, 6 figures. For the family. I tore it up, tossed the shreds to the wind. Revenge tasted hollow, pyrrhic, polarizing. Had I freed the truth or just traded cages? Jax walked. I teetered on bars again. Mom rotted in county, cursing my name. But as dawn broke, pink over the Olympics, I shifted gears. The Audi purred south, toward California sun. New ghosts to outrun. No happy end, no tragedy, just the gray American grind, where betrayal's the family heirloom, and revenge? It's the mirror that never lies. The California sun beat down like a guilty conscience, turning the I-5 asphalt into a shimmering mirage as I crossed the Oregon border. 3 months since the Apex implosion, and the fallout clung like exhaust fumes, tabloid headlines fading. But the whispers? Those stuck, branding me the sister who snitched in true crime pods and Reddit rabbit holes. Jax's check shreds were long scattered. But the weight? That road shotgun, heavier than the .38 I'd stashed in the glove box, a parole no-no bought from a sketchy Reno pawn shop. Medford's outskirts welcomed me with strip malls and meth-eyed stares, the kind of nowhere that swallowed secrets whole. I'd landed a gig ghosting for a podcast, echoes of betrayal, ironic as hell, spinning yarns of corporate downfalls. Paid enough for gas and grief, not glory. But glory wasn't the goal anymore. Survival was, laced with the slow simmer of unfinished business. Mom's trial loomed in Seattle Municipal, money laundering counts stacking like Jenga blocks. Jax's flip had gutted her defense. Testified she pressured him into the cover-up, painting her as the spider, him the reluctant fly. Victim Jax again. The DA offered me a deal. Testify against her. Walk on the conspiracy rap. Family justice, the suit said, adjusting his tie like it choked him less than the hypocrisy. I hung up, nausea rising. Testify? Against the woman who'd birthed me, then buried me alive?
No.
I'd ghost the trial, let the chips fall. But chips don't fall clean in America. They splinter, nick bystanders, leave scars that itch in the rain. The motel in Medford was a roach trap special, neon vacancy flickering like a seizure, walls thin enough to hear the couple next door scripting their own revenge porn. I checked in under Elena Vasquez, nod to the abuela I'd never met, paid cash, bolted the door. Laptop open, I dove into the pod script, episode 47. Apex's fall. When algorithms lie. Voiceover notes dripped with drama. Jax's charm masking the monster. My sacrifice, the tragic hook. Listeners ate it up. Downloads spiked. Hate mail too. Snitch bitch. One read. Hero. Countered another. Polarized, just like I'd engineered. Sleep came fitful. Dreams replaying the I-5 crash. Tires screeching. The cyclist's scream echoing like feedback. I'd yanked the wheel too late. Bone crunching under rubber. Jax's face in the dash light. Pale. Pleading. Your record's clean, Maya.
Mean it?
Ruined.
Clean.
As if prison tattoos washed off with soap. Dawn brought a burner buzz, Rosie. Trouble, girl. Your bro's sniffing. Hired muscle. Ex-feds. The type that bends rules for retainers.
Jax.
Always 3 steps ahead, flipping from prey to predator. Where? Trails hot from Seattle to here. Apex remnants? They're lawyered up, countersuing for defamation. Your name's on the docket. I cursed, packing in under 2 minutes. The Audi 8 miles, pushing 90 through Siskiyou Pass, evergreens blurring into green haze. Countersuit. He'd twist the narrative. Me, the vengeful ex-con, fabricating for clicks. Mom's lawyer had already subpoenaed my prison psych evals, antisocial tendencies. They'd label it. Controversial? Hell, it'd spark bar fights in dive bars from here to Tacoma. Sacramento welcomed with sprawl and smog, a far cry from Seattle's brooding gray. I crashed at a halfway house for parolees, irony's gift, bunking with women who'd clawed similar paths. Carla, fresh out on check fraud, became my sounding board over lukewarm coffee. Revenge, she snorted, cigarette dangling. Tastes like ash. Eat it quick, move on. But moving on? That was the lie we all told. Night 2, Jax's muscle found me. 2 suits in a black Escalade, tailing from the In-N-Out drive-thru. I spotted them in the rear view, hearts pounding like bass drops. Lost them in old Saks alleys, tourist crowds my cover, but the message burned. Back off. I didn't. Instead, I flipped the script, reached out to Lila, now holed up in a Sausalito Airbnb, nursing bruises from the breakup. Video call, her face pixelated but pretty, eyes red-rimmed.
Amaya.
God, the headlines.
Yeah.
He's circling. I leaned into the webcam, motel lamp casting shadows like accusations. Need your help. The paternity docs. Public yet. She hesitated, biting her lip.
No. But.
I kept copies. Why? Insurance. We plotted. Leaked to a Bay Area journo. The Sentinel's ethics hound. Frame it as whistleblower drop. Anonymize her. Jax's flip would boomerang. Expose his hypocrisy. The family man facade crumbling under DNA spotlights. She agreed, voice stealing. For the kid, I almost had. He would have lied to him too. The drop hit midweek. Front page splash. Apex airs illegitimate empire. Secrets, lies, and a sister's silence. Seattle erupted. Mom's trial delayed. Public baying for Jax's blood. He countered slick. Presser at Apex ruins. Tearful mea culpa. Personal failings don't define innovation. Flipped again, positioning as reformed, donating to cyclist charities. The $55,000 Audi? He matched it, gifting bikes to underprivileged youth. PR gold, spun from my pain. Mom's call came collect from King County Jail, voice a rasp through static. Saw the paper. My boy. Not his. You knew, I said, no question. Silence stretched then. Protected him. Like I protected you. Protected. The word ignited. By letting me rot?
Testify, Mom.
Truth for time served. She laughed hollow. And betray my son? Never. Never. Blood thicker than the ink on her indictment. I hung up, resolve hardening. The trial loomed, and I'd be there. Not as witness, but wild card. Seattle pulled me back like gravity, rain greeting the Audi like an old foe. Courtroom 4B, federal style, wood paneling gleaming under fluorescence, air thick with cologne and contempt. Mom in orange, curls tamed to a bun, eyes finding mine across the gallery. Jax testified first, poised, penitent. Evelyn manipulated us all. The crash?
Panic.
Amaya's confession? Coerced.
Coerced.
The gallery murmured, reporters scribbling fury. My stomach twisted. He'd flipped the blade, aimed at her throat. Her turn, stand trembling, voice quavering. I loved them.
Both. The lie.
It was to keep us whole. The judge, stern, spectacled, leaned in. Ms. Reyes, did you induce your daughter to perjure? She glanced at me, eyes pleading.
Then, no.
Amaya chose. Strong girl.
Shoes.
The gallery gasped, flashbulbs popping. Betrayal's knife twisted deeper, from savior to saboteur in a heartbeat. I bolted, hallway echoing with my footsteps, Jax's gaze burning holes. Outside, rain lashed the steps, blurring the world. His voice cut through. Maya.
Wait.
He stood under an umbrella, suit rumpled, face a mask of feigned concern. She flipped. On you. I whirled, fists clenched. Like you flipped on her? On me. Survival. He stepped closer, rain dripping from the canopy. Join me. New venture. Clean slate. The offer hung, tempting as sin. Equity, erasure. Become the villain's ally. Rewrite the code. Controversial choice. Forgive, forget, or fight to the pyre. I spat at his feet. Slate stained, Jax. Yours and mine. As I drove into the storm, sirens wailed, cops for me, finally, on that conspiracy warrant. Cuffs clicked cold, the Audi towed like a trophy. But in the squad car, mirror reflection smirked back, not defeated, but dangerous. The holding cell in Seattle PD smelled like bleach and broken promises, fluorescent hum drilling into my skull like a bad hangover. 24 hours in the tank, then arraignment. Conspiracy to defame, thanks to Jax's lawyers spinning my leaks as organized sabotage. Bail set at $50K, which might as well have been $1 million. My podcaster gig barely covered ramen. Carla's words echoed. Revenge tastes like ash. She'd nailed it. Choking, gritty, leaving you parched for more. Public defender assigned. Ms. Hargrove, a chain-smoking bulldog in sensible pumps. Plea? Fight? She barked over lukewarm vending coffee. Fight, I said, no hesitation. Plea meant admitting his narrative, me, the bitter ex-con torching bridges. Fight meant dragging the skeletons into daylight, force the world to pick sides. Mom's trial verdict dropped while I stewed. Guilty on 3 counts, 18 months federal plus restitution. Her flip on me? The judge called it evidentiary desperation, but it stuck, testimony painting me as willing participant, not victim. Reporters swarmed the courthouse, one shoving a mic. Amaya Reyes, hero or homewrecker? I had no answer. Hero? I toppled an empire, exposed lies that festered for years. Homewrecker? Shattered the only family I had, left Mom caged, Jackson scathed. Polarized perfection. Hargrove pulled strings for a psych eval, mitigating factor, trauma-induced actions. The shrink, Dr. Patel, was all empathy and clipboards, office overlooking the sound like a therapy postcard. Tell me about the betrayal, she prompted, pen poised. I spilled. The crash, the confession, Mom's coaching, Jax's rise. They made me the mule, carried their sins on my back. She nodded, scribbling. And the revenge? Empowerment or escalation? Both. Honesty slipped out, raw. Wanted them to feel the weight. Her report landed gold. PTSD, not malice. Bail reduced, ankle monitor my leash. I walked, limped, really back to the Audi impounded but released on technicality. First drive? Straight to the prison gates, visitor log stamped with Mom's name. Visitation room. Plexiglass divider, phones greasy from desperate hands. She shuffled in, orange jumpsuit swallowing her frame, eyes hollowed by fluorescent hell. Amaya. No hugs through glass. Why? I pressed the receiver, voice cracking. Tell me it was love, not convenience.
Te has gueld.
Tracing familiar paths. Both, baby.
Jax.
He was my redemption. After your dad, the affair, everything crumbling. You were steady. Could bear it.
Bear it.
The word she'd weaponized. And now, rotting for his games. She leaned close, breath fogging the barrier. Write my story. Your words. Get me out early, compassionate release. Write it. Like I'd written Jax's myth, only to burn it. Controversial ask. Humanize the monster, or let her fade. I'll think. I hung up, the click echoing like finality. Outside, Jax waited, leaning on a gleaming Tesla, arms crossed, that Rolex ticking like a bomb. Visitor? Family tradition. I brushed past, but he blocked, umbrella offered against the drizzle. Drop the suit. I'll make it vanish. And Mom? My lawyer's appeal. Clean for all. The flip again, predator to protector in a breath. What's the catch? Silence. His eyes locked, unblinking. No more stories.
No podcast.
Be the sister, not the scourge. Silence. The American dream. Forget, forgive, flourish under NDAs. Tempting, in the gray rain, reunite the Reyes wreckage, build from ash. But the cyclist's face haunted, the kid Jax's tech profiled, Mom's lies layering like sediment.
No.
The word escaped, steel-wrapped. His face hardened, umbrella snapping shut. Then burn, Maya. We all do. The pretrial dragged months, a legal quagmire of motions and depositions. Hargrove unearthed gems, Jax's emails, pre-crash, begging Mom for crash course in ethics. Lila testified remote, voice steady. He knew. Planned the flip from day one. Jurors filed in, blue-collar mix, faces etched with their own grudges. Opening arguments. Prosecution painted me villain. Defense? Avenging angel. Evidence mounted. The USB to Lila. The journo drop, but no direct hack. Rosie's work, untraceable. Jax took the stand, charm dialed to 11. Amaya's pain? Real. But her actions? Vindictive. Destroyed lives, mine moms, investors' families. Cross. Hargrove eviscerated. You destroyed hers first, Mr. Reyes. 8 years. Care to quantify. He faltered, sweat beading. Regret.
Deep.
Regret. The word hung, polarizing the room. Sympathy murmurs from some, scowls from others. My turn. The box, hot under lights, eyes on me like spotlights. I didn't choose silence.
They chose it for me.
Voice steady, I unpacked the crash, the plea, the prison grind, med school dreams pulped in the yard, friendships forged in fire. Revenge? It was restitution. Truth's the only justice in this country. The jury foreman later confessed, split down middle, debates raging nights. Heroic whistleblower or family saboteur? He'd say. They acquitted, hung on conspiracy, mistrial vibes forcing dismissal. Freedom tasted like rain-washed air, the Audi's leather still holding my scent. Jax's empire? Shriveled to consulting scraps, but he texted, proud. Dinner? Mom's appeal? Granted, 6 months early, my story in her filing. Ghosted compassion plea that humanized her mess. She called from halfway house. Home soon. Forgive. Forgive. The final flip, mine. I drove to the overlook, sound churning, .38 heavy in my palm. Tossed it to the waves, ripples swallowing secrets. No shot, no tragedy, just the choice. Dine with devils or dine alone. We met at the old diner, vinyl booths cracked like our bonds. Jax and civvies, Mom frail but fierce. Small talk stuttered, weather, mariner's slim hopes. Then, to family, Jax toasted glass raised. I clinked, bourbon burning, to truths. No hugs, no tears, just the uneasy truce of survivors. Jax flipped to mentor, offering gig leads. Mom to confidant, sharing affair regrets over pie.
Me?
The fulcrum, balancing grudge and grace. But nights alone, the twist gnaws. Was it victory or vanity? Listeners debate my pod episodes. Hero's arc or villain's echo. I drive the Audi south again, windows down, wind whipping doubts. America's dark heart beats on, betrayals birthing reinventions, revenge the spark that lights or consumes. In the end, no one's wholly right, wholly wrong. Just human, hauling shadows into the sun.